Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Joy White. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please, if this is the first time you are checking on my channel, kindly hit on that subscribe button and turn on notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you. So guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how to cut and sew a 3/4 pencil skirt with a side draping. So I'm going to be using this crepe fabric in making this particular skirt you are seeing. So now the first thing we are going to do is to fold our fabric into two, which I've just done. So we're going to be cutting the front of the skirt. So I'm going to go ahead now and draw out the starting point line or the waistline. So after doing that, the next measurement I'm going to take is the waist to the hip measurement. So I'm going to note down the waist to the hip measurement, and then I'll go ahead and connect what I have. So after connecting it, the next thing I will do is from that hip point, I will go up with 1.5. So I'm going up with 1.5 because I like to align the hip area on both ways. So now I'm going to go ahead now and draw outwards another line then. So at this point, the next thing I'm going to do is to get the length of the skirt I'm working with. So I am going to deduct the band. I'm working with a band of 1 inch. So I will remove the band measurement from my length, and I will go ahead and take the length of the skirt I am working with. So after doing that, I will go ahead and connect the points that I have there. The next I will do is to go ahead and add the folding allowance. So I'm using a folding allowance of 2 inches. 1.52 inches is actually okay. So I'll go ahead now and connect what I have. So now that we are done with that, the next measurement I'm going to take is from the waist to the knee. So I'm taking the measurement of from the waist to the knee. So this is what we have. So now I will go ahead and use my ruler to connect what I have there. So now at this point, we are going to start imputing all our measurements. So this is the waist, the hip line, the knee line, and the hem of the skirt. So now at this point, the next thing I will do is to take the waist measurement. So the waist divided by 4, I will impute my measurement down, and I'll add 1 inch for that and 1 inch for seam allowance. So the next I will do is to come over to the hip line. I'm going to mark the hip divided by 4, and I'll add the seam allowance there, just as you see me doing. So at this point, the next thing I will do is to come over to the knee line. I am going to deduct 1.5 from the hip measurement. So I'm removing 1.5 to get the knee line. So now the next thing I will do is to take the same measurement on the hem. So whatever I have on the knee line, I'll be taking the same measurement on the hem. So now that we are done with that, the next thing I will do is to get my ruler. I am going to connect from the hem to the knee and from the knee to the hip point. Then I will take it upward to the waistline. So this is what we have for the front. So what I will do on that point there is to go ahead and use the curved part of my ruler to connect it. So now that we are done, I'm going to go ahead now and cut out what we have drafted out. So now I am done with the front. I'm going to go ahead and mark out for the zipper allowance for the back. So I'm using a zipper allowance of 1 inch. So now that we are done with that, this is the front of our skirt. I will place it, and I will extend the hip point, I will extend the knee line, and I will extend the hem of my skirt to the back so that I'll be able to identify it. So now this is the waistline. I'm going to extend the waistline as well. So now that we are done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead on the waistline for the back. I am going to tighten the back waistline with 0.75. 1 inch you can use for someone that has a deep back. So I'm using 0.75, and I'll connect it to the hip points. Can you see what I'm doing? I've connected it to the hip point. So I've tightened the center back on the waistline of our skirts. So whatever that was taken from the waistline, I am going to replace it to complete my measurement at the side. Remember, we have taken from the center back. We are going to replace it at the side of our skirts. So now that we are done with that, I'm going to go ahead now and mark out what I'll be using for the zipper allowance. So I'm marking out 1 inch, 1.25 for the zipper allowance. So I'll come over to the hem. So to contour the hem, I'm going to go in with 1.5. I'm going in with 1.5, and I will get my curve ruler and connect it this way. So this is just to give the butt this kind of illusion. So that is what I'm trying to do here, to have it curved sort of. Can you see how curvy it is? When you put on your skirt, you have that curvy effect at the back of your skirt. So now that we are done with that, the next thing I will do is to go ahead now. I will mark out the zipper allowance that I want from the waist to the hip to the knee and to the hem of my skirt. So I will go ahead now and connect it with my ruler, and when I'm getting to the hip line, I'm going to use my curve ruler because I want that shape to what appear just the way it is. So now I'll go ahead now and just use my free hand to chalk it out. Can you see it? So when you put on your skirt this way, you have been able to contour the butt area of your skirt. So now that we are done with that, I'm going to measure what I have in front of my skirt, the width of what I have in front of my skirt. I will take the same measurement down to the back of my skirt. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain. I'm using the same measurements of what I have for the front at the back. So now I will connect it. This is from the knee to the hem of my skirt. So now that we are done with that, the next thing I will do is to come over to the hip point. I'm going to measure what I have on the hip. So I'm starting my measurements from the hip point there. I'll measure what I have, and I'm going to add the same allowance that was added in front. So I'm adding it there just to complete my measurements. And when I bring out the skirt, the front part of my skirt is falling at the exact point. So what I will do now is I will take my ruler and connect it upward. Can you see it? And after connecting it from the hip line, I'm going to connect it to the knee line. So now that I'm done with that, can you see how the skirt is looking? I'm going to go ahead now and cut the back of our skirt just the way you see me doing it. So I am done cutting it. What I will do next is to go ahead and trim off for the excess that we have on the zipper allowance area. So this is what our skirt is looking like. This is the back of our skirt. This is what it's looking like, and this is the front of our skirt. So now that we are done with this, the next thing I will do is to go ahead and fold my fabric again into two. So I'm folding it from the top to the hem. I'm trying to cut out the draping that we'll have at the side of the skirt. So I'm going to measure for the width. I'll be using 12 inches. I'm taking 12 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches is actually okay. So I'll mark out 12 inches from the hem to the top, and I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect it. After connecting it, I'll go ahead and cut it out. So after cutting it out, this is what we have. So now here is what we are going to do. I'm going to go ahead and measure what I have for the length of my skirt. I want to get the exact measurement. So I'm going to measure what I have for the length of my skirt. And after getting what I have, remember we are going to be folding our skirt as well. So now I'll keep this aside. I will get the other fabric that I'll be using for the draping. I will measure what I will be using, because the draping is going to stop towards the hem of the skirt. It's stopping towards the hem. So I've taken the measurements and I added 1 extra inch to fold the hem of this draping. So now this is what I'm going to do. I'll go ahead and mark whatever figure I have, and I will cut it out. So after cutting it out, we are going to go ahead and fold it. Remember, you're cutting this on fold. From the top is on fold. So I'm going to go ahead now and fold the hem, the edges. I'll fold, and I'll fold this other side. I'll be leaving out the other side. Remember, this draping is going to be at the side of our skirt, so there's no need folding that other part. So now this is the skirt we are working with. What I will do next is I'm going to mark out the dart area where I'll be marking using for the dart. So I'm taking the dart measurement of 4.5. I will mark it, and then I'm going to notch it. I'm going to notch it so that when I'm on the sewing machine, I will be able to identify the area for the dart. So I'll do the same thing for the back as well. I will notch it. So now that we are done with that, the next thing we are going to do is to open up our fabric. Can you see this is what our skirt is looking like? I'll take this to my machine and sew the dart. So I've sewn the dart, and this is what it is looking like. I have sewn the dart and the center back of our skirt. I've also gone ahead to sew it down, and I pressed open the seam. So now the next thing we are going to do is to get the fabric we'll be using for the draping at the side. So this is what we have for it. I've gone ahead to fold it like I mentioned. So now I am going to place it this way. Remember, I said from the top it is on fold. So I'm going to go ahead now and place it at the edge of my fabric of the front. This is the front I am working with. So I'll go ahead now and place it. It's together actually. So I will quickly pin it down so that I'll be able to attach the back to the skirt. So I pinned it down. It's on the in between the front and the back. So now I'm going to pin my skirt also down. I'll be pinning it down so that I'll be able to take the measurement. So now I'm going to go ahead now and take the measurement for the waistline. So I'll measure what I have for the waistline, and I'll take it down. Remember, our draping is in between the front and the back. So I'll come over to the hip point. I will do the same thing by taking the hip measurement. So the hip circumference, hip divided by 2 is what we are taking now. So after doing that, after taking the measurements on the hip, I will go ahead and connect it from the hip. I will connect it to the waistline. So now that we are done with that, the next thing I will do is to come over to the knee line. I'm going to take the knee circumference measurement. I'll note it down, and on the hem, whatever that was taken on the knee, I will impute the same measurements at the hem of the skirt. So now I will get my straight ruler and connect what we have. So I'm going to connect it from the hem to the knee, and from the knee I will connect it to the hip point. So I can just go ahead now and use my free hand to connect what I have, or you can as well go ahead and use a ruler for this. So now I'm gonna ahead to sew it down, and I have attached a zipper to it. So this is what the front of our skirt, this is the draping I was trying to explain to you. So I've turned it out, and this is what it's looking like. So now the next thing we are going to do is to go ahead now and pin it to the front. So see the way I am pinning it, I'll just go ahead and pin just a little part of it. So I've gone ahead to prepare the band, and this is what the band is looking like. At this point, I'm going to go ahead now and attach the band to the skirt. So I'm going to fix this band from the inside of my skirt to the outside of the skirt. And when I'm done with that, I'll open up the slit and fold the hem of the skirt. So this is what we have for our 3/4 pencil skirt with a side drape. This is what it's looking like. So instead of just having a random pencil skirt without any kind of styling, I decided to style this skirt this way. So please, if you find this tutorial helpful, don't forget to hit on that subscribe button and turn on notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post a new video. Like and share my videos, make your comments. Till our next tutorial again, we'll be doing something else. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.